little bit of lag there. Howdy, partners. This is Ice and C. Remember, Outsider, I'll hate you for it. And I'm bringing you a replay sent to me by, help me out here, JekkuJere, or so. Sent me 2 replays. I'm going to cast the other one in just a little bit after I get done with this one. Let's introduce the player over here, the teal-colored Space Marines, Guso with the Force Commander, another Space Marine player named DoW2R, we're going to call him Hawk, as the Force Commander, Space Marines, and JekkuJere playing as the Eldar. I'm sorry. What I mean to say is I love you. And over here with probably one of the funniest names so far, the Brood Witch, as the mech boy for the orcs. If you don't know where that's from, I feel sorry for you. Initial as the warlock for the Eldar, and third Custodes Hovo, the plague champion of the Chaos Space Marines. So far, I have been lagging really bad. Guys, I am rusty as all get out when it comes to casting right now. I haven't been able to do it for almost over a week. And what happened was my internet kept crashing, and then they finally told us, okay, we've ruled out everything, it's your modem. So I actually ended up fixing my own frigging modem by myself. Thank you, AT&T. And that seems to be working really well right now. And then today, when I had the opportunity to do some casting, my TurtleBeach headphones broke for the 5th time, and I had to break out the Gorilla Glue, and, you know, that takes a while to dry and whatnot. So, anyway, getting in this game, you could see that the orcs pushing north and doing a great job of it. The mech boy coming to tie up the tactical marines so they cannot put their range fire into the shootas or the sluggas. A very smart move. I think he retreated perhaps just a little preemptively, maybe not, but definitely Guso gonna have to go home fairly quick. He cannot deal with all those shootas and that mech boy being there, dealing as much damage as they are, and could possibly lose even more models if he's not careful, but we need to pay attention to other things than just what's going on up top. DoW2R, it looks like a dragon, but it's Hawk. Anyway, you know, not getting a real good engagement against this Eldar player. You can see that he got bled pretty heavily, and over here, initial looking pretty good. Let's see how JekkuJere is doing. Wow, he is going up against a heavy tier 1 Chaos. Eternal War on both of those Chaos Space Marine squads. Using the Destructor to deal that initial damage to those heretics, a smart move, because heretics are not the best, but definitely no slouches in melee. And stops pursuing that last heretic. I really feel like if he'd have continued to pursue it, he probably could have gotten a kill. But I'm not going to judge because he stopped doing that so he could actually take out a Chaos Space Marine model, and that is definitely worth it. So a good move by JekkuJere. Banshee is always kind of a bleedy unit, but anytime you can actually get them into melee, they will absolutely own anything, especially when they get their upgrades in the later part of the match. DoW2R going for... we're just going to call him Hawk, I'm sorry. Hawk going for the good old Assault Marines right after Tactical Marines, and same with Guso up here. A very solid strategy that is not particularly good against every race, but functions fairly well for all of them. And the reason why I say that is, well, you know, you can even, against Imperial Guard, it's almost preferred that you actually use the Devastator Marines because of how many guardsmen are on the field. just can't take that much downrange fire from guardsmen. They're really good at that. And so Guso kind of sitting timid here with all of his guys, not really wanting to push against those single shoot-a-boys. I think he's planning on maybe something bigger. But, ooh, the battery pack for the mech boy using Avataste on those slugga-boys. A critical thing right there. Bleeding those assault marines, a single model, but still, one assault marine to how many boys? I mean, I think it's like 1 to 5. And, oh god, did you just see that vomit-induced? Oh god, that is rage quit worthy. Losing 2 squads. I'm not exactly sure of what, but 2 squads to those Banshees. And that's a neat little trick. If you know where your opponent's base is and you can get to a position behind them and wait for them to retreat, you can catch them in their retreat and deal quite a lot of damage, if not take out an entire squad. But yeah, you can see right here, generator up for red team, generator up for blue team. Do they have any other generator farms? Not that I can tell. Oh, yes they do. Down here. Sorry, I don't play on this map very much. Not one of my favorites. But yeah, they both have double gen farms up for each team. And you can see right here that coupling those assault marines with those guardians, a very potent thing. I mean, you don't have to necessarily in team games send your entire army to help your ally. You could just send 1 or 2 squads, maybe even just your hero, and that will tip the balance for them in their favor really, really, really easily without overcommitting. So it's just something to keep in mind when you play team games. I know coming from me that is almost absurd sounding because I am the absolute worst at playing with teams because of I'm not very into having to help my allies or anything like that. I'm constantly always wanting to play 1v1s all day. But yeah, up here you can see that blue put a gen farm down. That's a little silly, especially with orcs and all these Massey style races around. They could easily split off one squad and harass that gen farm while attacking somewhere full committed. Maybe if they had like a tarantula turret down there, but they don't have a tech marine on their team, so it seems kind of silly that they would go for that. And yeah, see right there, you just kind of gave them... Oh, never mind. Okay, I see what happened. The red team had put it up there, and then the blue team took it, and then they lost it. Again, it definitely should have gone for the gen bash on that one. So, with as easily contested as that spot is, giving the opponent a chance to get it back is kind of silly. But anyway, getting a good gen bash off here. Banshee's definitely pretty good at gen bashing with all of their models and with as much DPS as they put out. And you can see that, yeah, red taking a lot of damage. This is going to snowball really badly towards the later part of this game. With no generator, well, hardly any generators up right now, you know, they're not going to be able to build all of those high-cost units that they may need to progress into this game safely. And what's going to end up happening is they're going to have to produce other units that won't work so well. Those units will bleed, and it'll snowball out of control. Mech Boy using the custom force field, keeping those assault marines at bay. This is like watching June bugs fly into fire. But it goes down, and now that Mech Boy needs to really get out of there. Teleports out of there. Good job, Brood Witch. And yeah, you can see over here, Initial going for double warp spiders. That's an interesting choice. There's a Wraith Lord on the field. Perhaps he's, you know, looking forward to using those grenades the warp spiders carry. And yeah, Also, Blood Crushers. This is like the poor man's anti-armor in retail anyway. You generally see a lot of these coming out from Chaos whenever they don't have very much power. And that's no bad thing. That's actually a good response. But yeah, in retail, they do bleed quite a bit, and they don't have nearly as much mobility as they do in the Elite mod. Yep, you can see over here, Chaos Space Marines. Are those Corn Marines? I'm not exactly sure. It's maybe they're not even upgraded that far. Warp Spiders coming out, bleeding models quite a bit. These guys do put out quite a lot of DPS. Very dangerous for infantry units and heavy infantry units alike. Not sure exactly how well they do against super heavies though. The critical backhand from the Wraith Lord saying, "Get off my couch, Nuka." And red team trying to regain their power control and not really having a good time of it. You can see that the resource deficit is insane. Don't know what Hawk is doing with his resources. Lost a scout squad, but fortunately hasn't lost anything else. Oh, he's rushing to tier 3. He's gonna get Terminators. Yeah, that's the only thing. That's the only thing I can imagine he's waiting for. Yeah, see, because he could be getting a Predator tank right now, and a Land Raider Redeemer does seem kind of silly. They finally captured that. Should be going for their opponent's natural victory point, and these guys should be attempting to capture this, at least poke in and see what's going on. I know sometimes that with the fact that we can see everything and there's no fog of war really for replays and everything, it can be quite deceptive. But yeah, definitely should be trying to poke in and see what they can be doing. Don't want to lose too many victory points, because come late game, everyone's just scrambling for victory points. If things get silly, you lose units because you're trying to capture things. And squad going down for the Orcs. Getting into a fight with way too many Space Marines, and you do not need to do that. That is a bad thing. If you're playing Orcs against Space Marines and they outnumber you, that is a horrible, horrible, horrible engagement. You do not want to be in that. Plague Fist for the Plague Champion. Not a real good counter to armor with as slow and cumbersome as he is. And doesn't do nearly as much DPS as the Power Fist for the Force Commander, and does not have the Flesh over Steel upgrade, which is a real bummer. Here we go, Mark of Tzeentch. Double Mark of Tzeentch. Gotta put a lot of damage into those Space Marines should they show up. And here we are, we've got a Land Raider Redeemer coming out onto the field, and that's kind of silly. But with as far ahead as they are right now in the resources, and not doing too bad on the points, they need to start capping, or working on capping. Warlock going down for initial, jumping into melee with that Wraith Lord. That's kind of silly. But yeah, those Chaos Space Marines gonna get slapped until they leave. JekkuJere playing a phenomenal gameplay, keeping a lot of his units alive, using his units sparingly, and definitely not overcommitting. And that's something that you gotta remember with walkers. Vehicles do tend to overcommit sometimes, but especially walkers. Walkers have a real bad time with overcommitting. They're very slow, very cumbersome, and you know, should they get snared or take any damage, you know, they're in quite a bit of trouble. But yeah, back to 2 to zip cap for the blue team, which is great. I mean, they keep pulling themselves further and further and further ahead by, you know, decapping Red's power and getting rid of the generators especially too. These Eldar units are gonna be forced away fairly quickly, and I think the Wraith Lord should probably go with them so as to make sure that it does not get caught out of position. Good job. You're a very smart man, JekkuJere. I like it. I like your style. As the Shuriken add-on weapon, giving it a ranged ability, or ranged shot. Not too good, but pretty good enough, I mean. And someone just got an upgrade. Ooh, chapter standard. I mean, sacred, same difference. Don't see that very often. I use it from time to time. It is a wonderful upgrade if you have not ever tried it. Buffs all of your units, and if the force commander dies, buffs them even more. Definitely something you should try if you're going for an all-out battle and you're expecting to lose some guys. But yeah, those Tzeentch Havocs trying to deal with that Wraith Lord, not having it. You know, none of those Eldar are having that crap. They're telling Chaos to go back to the pit that they spawned from, which is probably very dirty. Doing a good job with these Banshees. What level are they? 3. With the aspect of their Banshee and their Exarch, which gives them heavy melee. Those are some scary ladies. Initial doing a wonderful job with these warp spiders. He is hoarding quite a bit of requisition, and that is concerning. Really should. Yeah, I mean, I know sometimes, I say this, you know, just because you have the money, it doesn't mean you need to spend it, but good lord, man, look at that. You need to spend that crap. Ooh, Hawk taking a lot of ownage to the face, I think, losing his assault marines. That's pretty tragic. And breaking out Terminators, but with all of these units around here, I think he probably should pull these guys back as soon as he possibly can. And what is this? Even more Terminators, so Guso and Hawk really teaming up, make this attack worth it. Does not want to let those Terminators run into the enemy's base. Does not stop yet. Go back. Broodwitch, MVP for red team, obviously. Getting a nice little army composition. Tank Bustas, a super awesome counter to armor, and at the same time a fairly decent disruptor unit. They do a little bit of damage to infantry, and their barrage ability does knock over infantry, which is pretty useful at times. Also does a metric fuck ton of damage to vehicles. And you can see over here that the JekkuJere Warlock reviving the Force Commander, and they both get out of there. Wow, that is a... Didn't see that coming, but good job. And they scoot right on back home. JekkuJere keeping his Wraith Lord alive, too, despite the fact that they're double Tank Bustas and Tzeentch Havocs on the field. Using his Wraith Bone ability to heal his Wraith Lord up. Wraith Lord in a exposed position gets out of there. And the Avatar Kane out on the field. We're just seeing all sorts of tier 3 units from Blue Team. Blue Team really taking this game seriously, and I like that, you know. Hawk taking some bad losses here and there, but overall sticking to the plan, working with his teammates when it counted, and really showing the might of the Space Marine army that gets way too friggin' big. Tzeentch Havoc's dying right there. That's a real tragedy. And you could see that little fart cloud following around those Guardians does not really do much damage, if at all, to vehicles. That is a global ability for the Plague Champion of the Chaos Space Marines. And it is a really good one. If you want to wipe light infantry really quick without your opponent noticing it, that is the way to go. Bright Lance shooting icicles at those Terminators, and those Terminators turn tail. And I'm really surprised. Red Team is hanging on a lot better than I thought they would be, with as much devastating losses as they took early in the game. They are doing surprisingly well, and take that with a grain of salt, because I'm saying they're doing fairly well for their situation, which doesn't mean that they're doing spectacular. But yeah, now you can see that they're conglomerating their numbers to deal with the fact that they got put back pretty hard earlier in the game. Tank Busta's really good versus the Terminators here, and a Terminator model goes down. Those Zinch Marines also adding their 2 bits with their Zinch Bolters, which, you know, that it is almost, and I'm kidding when I say this, but it's almost unfair how good Zinch Bolters are. It almost makes me want to get them for my Space Marine army, but then I remember that that is heresy, so that's probably not going to happen. Orcs, in a bad engagement here. That Land Raider Redeemer using its barrage out of the front little thingies, exploding a lot of orcs, knocking them back, and using the heavy flamers and the heavy bolter as well as the multi-melta, doing a lot of damage. And an Artark in for JekkuJere. A good choice. Artark gets a jump in, can disrupt those Bright Lance teams, and can do a lot of damage herself. She's a nice sub-commander as far as sub-commanders go. I still personally think that the most busted sub-commander has got to be the Librarian, but that is my opinion. I do love my Librarian. Up here you can see that Guso and Hawk, again, taking the north back, and Red Team going to be in a lot of trouble if they get a 3-0 cap. Oh! Oh god. Avert your eyes. Children, avert your eyes. Using Warp Throw, pulling in a lot of those units, and then using the ability that Cain has. I know it's not Wrath of Cain. That is Wrath of Cain. Doing a ton of damage. Great synergy right there, Jekku. I like your style, even though you are Eldar. You can see right here, blue team really playing with a lot of gusto and organization, using that EMP grenade to stop that Land Raider Redeemer from doing anything at all except pivot on its axis. Might go down. Those knobs bashing their skulls into it, and Tank Busta's unloading, and it does go down. That doesn't matter. Actually, it might. Right here you can see... Okay. Not sure what happened there. If you can explain that to me, I would be more than appreciative. But Red Team sneaking in some caps, doing a good job, trying to buy themselves more time, and I can definitely agree with that idea. Knobs popped Frenzy and got into melee with those Terminators, perhaps retreating a little bit too early, I feel, but with those second group of Terminators coming in, yeah, I can see why they retreated. Mechboy not really doing a good job of helping his team, and there's a 3-zip cap for the blue team, and again, JekkuJere just doing everything he can to make me look bad by comparison. And again, using Warp Throw to keep those units from capping, and it's just a matter of seconds now. And it's over! An awesome game. You know what? This was probably one of the best replays I've gotten, and I'm not trying to make anybody else sound bad, but this was a team game where people played like a team. Like, they knew what they were doing, they knew what each other was doing, they communicated, and that's really awesome, you know. And I think that's something that I have a problem with, is that, you know, I don't communicate enough because I am in the zone. I'm trying to focus on every little detail of my game style, and that is something that you do have an issue with when you become a really big 1-versus-1 player. And these team games, again, just showing you how important it is to cooperate with your teams, and communicating with them, because I know for a fact that the Orcs and the Eldar could have massed up their numbers, gone north, and could have killed Guso or Hawk all frigging day if they had never communicated, never teamed up, and it would have just really been the end of the game for them, because, you know, they wouldn't have gotten so far ahead as they did. And that really does seem like it was kind of a problem for the red team. There was a lack of communication. They weren't really sure what they were doing. You know, initial feel like really overcommitting, and then Custodes not making the best choices, I feel like, in terms of unit composition. And the fact that Jekku, I mean, wiping so many units in this game, doing an awesome job of just getting in position, using those Banshees. God, I can't believe that they are still in level 4 and just absolutely owning everything. Banshees are terrifying. I mean, people like to play them down and say they do bleed you requisition and power resources quite a bit, and that is true. But as you saw here, you know, he would flank with them, go around where there was no line of sight from the enemy, and used them sparingly, and used all of his units very sparingly. I think the only thing he ever lost was his Wraith Lord, and that's because there were triple Bright Lances on the field. And that's really something. I mean, I've seen a lot of Eldar just go Mass Guardian, Mass Guardian, Mass Guardian, grenades, fleet, stuff like that. And, you know, they just ignore their Banshees because they're a point sink, basically. But here you can see definitely not even close to the case. Floating a lot of resources. I understand why. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's got all the units he needs. He can deal all the damage that he wants, and he's got the support of his allies, so he does not need to spend. But, you know, even then, I feel like maybe a Fire Prism, you know, you really can't go wrong with that. Use it more of in a defensive posture, because if he tries to go forward with that, the Bright Lances are just gonna own him. But, or maybe another Wraith Lord or Wraith Guard or something of the sort. But, yeah, anyway, what could the red team really have done better? Communicated better. That's pretty much it. Brood Witch played excellent this game, but it wasn't a 1-versus-1, so you know, he really didn't end up winning just because of his playing being pretty good, you know. Made a lot of bad choices by engaging double Space Marine, and it, you know, crushed a lot of his units and bled him quite heavily, even for an orc. And initial, could have been a little more careful with those initial units, but choosing those warp spiders I felt like was a really good idea. Definitely kept them in the game a lot longer and was very good at harassing things. And Custodes, again, unit choice. Maybe go for some regular Havocs to suppress all of these numbers and to deal with those Assault Marines. Maybe some gear from the Plague Champion, from what I hear, would be really good for that situation. But yeah, going like triple Chaos Space Marines with Eternal War early on or something, it's ridiculous. Definitely overcommitted. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for this, guys. Send me some more replays. I'd love to get some more replays and get those casted and get those uploaded for you guys. Yeah, if you like the video, leave a like. That really does, you know, it helps me out. It makes me feel good, and it does inspire me to do more and better at this. And if there's anything, you know, anything you gotta say, any questions, any corrections, because trust me, I'm probably gonna need it here and there, leave a comment down below. I will be paying attention to them, and I will be trying to respond to them as best as I possibly can. And if you know you love the video, go ahead and subscribe. There will be plenty more videos to come. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. This is Ice in the Sea, remember outside, and I'll catch you partners later.